Our next group tonight is the Symphonic Band. Their first piece is brand new this year, written this year, 2024 actually, but a very new piece by Christopher Artaud called Scarlet Echoes, and it's sort of trying to give the effect of echoing throughout the band. So there's a lot of repeated things, there's a lot of notes that carry over from one time to another to try and create the idea that one thing's continuing while we hear what's happening in the future. So that sort of simultaneity. But this is Scarlet Echoes by Christopher Artaud. Our next piece by Haley Woodrow is entitled March of the Shadows, and it's sort of a cartoony piece. I mean that in a foreshadowing sort of way, but it is very, I heard it described by another band director as a very grotesque piece. It has a lot of effects in it. One effect we call a flutter tongue, which is the act of rolling your R into the instrument. So the trombones and flutes and trumpets get to do that, as well as some other instruments. It's got a lot of what we would call a trill, which is sort of an undulation between two notes that are very close together. It doesn't really happen in time, and it's just got a lot of sort of sound effects that occur throughout the piece. So it's very interesting to listen to. It's got a very curious texture and very non-traditional. So I hope you enjoy March of the Shadows. So always, always at the end of the year, I like to program some fun stuff for the end. Of course, I think they're all fun, but you know, I've tried to program the Indiana Jones thing for our concert band, and then for our symphonic band, I was able to find this really fun cartoon medley, which is very classic. So this cartoon carnival is sort of a mashup of a lot of Merry Melodies, Looney Tunes style tunes. So this has some Warner Brothers like intro credits material, which I'm sure you'll recognize almost instantly if you watch TV in your life. And it's got the Flintstones, it's got the Jetsons, it's got the Animaniacs, and some other stuff thrown in there too. So I really think you'll enjoy this. The students and I have had a great time learning it, and I thought I'd point out a couple of the more interesting percussion instruments. I didn't tell them I was going to do it, but there's a curious collection of whistles in the back. So Kevin, can you give us a slide whistle? Okay, and then it calls for a police whistle. Can we hear that one? Thank you. And then my favorite, and although I already had it, this would have been my excuse to buy a siren whistle, which is my favorite one. Sam? So you'll hear all those things and lots more, but this is Cartoon Carnival. And in your program, you'll notice it only lists an arranger, and that's because every one of the songs has a different composer, and it would have been extremely long to put it in there. So the person who mashed them all together is Jack Bullock, and all the rest of the credits you can look up if you want to. But to save some space, this is Cartoon Carnival.